Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode on Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is Dr. Christine Boev. She's a PhD prepared ICU nurse with extensive experience in health, wellness, fitness, and healthy aging. Our work focuses on metabolic health, nutrition, supplementation, cellular health, and evidence-based strategies to help people not only live longer, but stay stronger and healthier throughout their lives. In fact, our personal goal is to still be doing handstand push-ups at 120 years old. Wow. Today, we separate fact from fiction on weight loss, anti-aging, exercise, inflammation, and some of the biggest health trends making headlines today. Dr. Boev, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right. So would you like I refer to you as Dr. Christine or Dr. Boev?
You can just call me Christine.
Okay, Christine. So I have some questions here for you, Christine, and I would like us to get into them. So there's so much conflict or conflicting advice about dieting. For someone trying to lose weight, what does the ideal balance of protein, carbohydrates, and fats actually look like?
So I think our goal, depending if you're a male or a female, really shouldn't be weight loss. I work mostly with women, but I also work with men as well. And instead of worrying so much about the number on the bathroom scale, what I encourage your listeners to focus on is changes in body composition. So specifically decreasing the amount of fat on your body and increasing the amount of skeletal lean muscle mass. If you do that, then the overall result is going to be somebody who is metabolically more healthy and ultimately will live longer.
Okay, so when it comes to exercise, should someone trying to lose fat train differently from someone who is primarily trying to build muscle?
It depends. I think what's important to understand is an 18-year-old male is going to train a lot differently than a 50-year-old female. And it's important to work with your physiology. So the overall premise of increasing your lean muscle mass is the same, right? You need to lift heavy weight. You need to prioritize protein. If the goal is weight loss, fat loss, and increasing muscle mass, then nutrition is such an important part of that. The mistake that I see people make across the board is they severely restrict their calories, which in turn shuts down their metabolism. So instead of losing weight, they're storing fat. And I see that very, very commonly, especially when people are on and off diets and, they go on and then they restrict and they're on extreme fueling plans. And then when they go back to eating like a normal person, the weight just comes back. But in that period of restriction, they've lost a lot of muscle mass, and that's really problematic.
All right. So anti-aging supplements have become a billion-dollar industry. Do you agree with that? Okay. So which ones actually have strong scientific evidence behind them? And which of them are just mostly based on hype?
So my favorite supplement across the board to improve your cellular health is creatine. It is the most safest, most widely studied supplement on the planet. And whether you're a male or a female, any age range, creatine is going to be a really important addition to the supplements that you take, especially women who are going through perimenopause and menopause. Creatine is actually going to help with your brain health, and that's really important.
All right. So why is creatine so much the trusted supplement? What makes it different from other supplements?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is it's a naturally occurring compound that you could get in food. So creatine is found in your proteins and your red meats. So it's a substance that your body already understands how to take in and how to metabolize. Basically, what it does is it signals your cells to make more energy. And when your cells are able to make more energy, you're able to perform better. So a lot of people will take creatine right before they go to the gym, right before a workout, and that allows them to maybe lift a little bit heavier, to have a better experience while they're in the gym. But what's important for your listeners to understand is creatine is something you should take every day, not just when you're working out.
All right. So tell us about metformin. It has been discussed as a possible anti-aging medication. What does the current research actually say, and should healthy people be actually considering metformin?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Metformin has kind of had its highs and its lows in terms of popularity. What I'm seeing right now is it's being outpaced by GLP-1 and GLP-2 medications because they have a similar outcome. 5 years ago, everybody was taking metformin, and the thought was if you take it every day, whether you have diabetes or not, it's going to help you live longer. The truth of the matter is that the evidence is just not there to support taking metformin every single day if you don't need it. It's not something that I take every day. And if somebody's thinking about it in order to improve metabolic health, then it might make more sense to talk to your provider about a GLP-1 or GLP-2 medication because they just work a little bit better.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. So, Ozempic is another semi-glutide medications that have exploded in popularity for weight loss. What are the real benefits and the potential risks, and who are the right candidates?
Yeah, so everybody's familiar with Ozempic, which is a GLP-1, and then your listeners are probably familiar with Zepbound or tirzepatide, which is a GLP-2. What the benefits are, and they work a little bit differently, those medications, is it delays gastric emptying. So the signals to your brain to say that I'm full are stronger. So you're simply not as hungry. People say it decreases the amount of food noise that you experience. One of the things that concerns me about people taking these medications who are not diabetics is, yes, you're going to experience weight loss, but if you're not smart about nutrition and fitness, that weight loss is going to be muscle loss. And that is really problematic, especially as you get older. The more muscle you have, the longer you're going to live. And so it's really important if you're taking any sort of peptides for weight loss that you are really dialed in with your nutrition and your fitness.
All right. So, just talking about Ozempic, is Ozempic actually healthy? Because I see a lot of people who lose weight with Ozempic, and between a few, like say, months, they are back to their original weight.
Right. So the problem with any of these medications is once you stop taking them, if you haven't changed the underlying behavior, if you haven't changed your foundation, then you're going to gain all the weight back. I see people all the time that they start taking a GLP-1 or a GLP-2, but they don't change their nutrition and their fitness. So basically, the scale is going down, but their metabolic health is actually getting worse because now they've lost more muscle. So people need to understand that if you're going to go on these medications and you're not willing to change your lifestyle, then you're going to gain all the weight back the moment you stop taking them. And that is shown in the literature. That is what is the research has been telling people. So it's a commitment. If you're going to go on it, then plan on staying on it unless you want to gain all the weight back.
All right. Thank you so much, Christine. So, many people receive a lipid panel from their doctor, but don't really understand what the numbers mean.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the basics and what people should actually pay attention to?
Yeah. So the most important value when you're looking at your lipid panel is your HDL to triglyceride ratio. So when you get your lipid panel, you get your total cholesterol, you get your LDL, your HDL, and your triglycerides. Total cholesterol is not a useful number. People are like, oh, I have high cholesterol. But unless you really break down what that number means, then there's no information to help you figure out how to fix it. Your HDL is what people term your good cholesterol. And that number, the higher, the better. And ways to increase your HDL specifically is through exercise. The more you exercise, the higher your HDL is going to be. Your triglycerides, on the other hand, are a byproduct of fat metabolism. And so with triglycerides, the lower, the better. When you look at HDL triglyceride ratios, so you put those numbers on top of each other, what you want is a 1.5 or higher. So, or if you can even get those numbers really close together. So if I have an HDL of 90, that's actually mine. My HDL is 90, my triglycerides are 60. If you divide those into each other, you can see that I have a really high HDL to triglyceride ratio. That's the number you want to look at versus total cholesterol or just LDLs. If you're trying to get a sense of where you're at from a heart health standpoint.
All right. So, inflammation seems to be at the center of so many chronic diseases. What role does it play in aging, weight gain, and overall health?
So I believe the question was, what is the role of inflammation in chronic disease and overall health? And the truth of the matter is inflammation is the root cause of all chronic disease. So if you and I are going to die and we're not going to get hit by a car or be in some sort of traumatic accident, chances are we're going to die from cancer, heart disease, metabolic disease, or a neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's. The root cause of all of those diseases is inflammation. And when you dig deep in terms of people who are chronically inflamed and people who are not, the common denominators really are stress, cortisol levels, insulin resistance, and just overall metabolic flexibility. And the good news is there's really simple ways that you can achieve a state of lower inflammation. And it really comes down to fueling your body appropriately, not eating a ton of highly processed foods. You know, you can look at foods that cause inflammation, right? And the big ones are alcohol, sugars, highly processed foods, trans fats, MSG. If you just took those 5 things and said, all right, I'm going to eliminate these from my diet, your inflammation is going to go down significantly. If you couple that with exercise, alternative therapies like sauna, red light, cold plunge, then you're going to find yourself at a much lower risk for the 4 chronic diseases that will most likely kill most people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Christine. So you have said that many people unknowingly sabotage their weight loss efforts by doing too much cardio. One would think that doing too much cardio is going to help your weight loss. So can you actually explain that to us, please?
So the question is not really about weight loss in cardio, but it's about fat loss. So if you want to lose weight, right, and you go out and you run 10 miles every day and you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. The problem is you're not going to build muscle. And that needs to be the focus of everybody listening to this podcast today. So if I don't push heavy weight and do it in a way that is strategic and programmed for my abilities and level, then I'm not going to build any muscle. The other problem is if you're just doing cardio, you're not really going to lose fat either, especially if you're doing like a high intensity cardio that causes your cortisol to go up. And this is particularly true for the women. You know, once you get past the age of 40, you really want to limit the amount of high intensity cardio that you do because it causes a spike in cortisol, and cortisol is your fat storage hormone. So for most people, strength training 5 days a week, doing low impact cardio, walking, swimming, hiking, that is going to be a much better strategic approach than just doing cardio every day.
Okay. So, finally, your goal is to still be doing handstand push-ups at 120 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Christine, what's your personal daily routine that gives you this confidence?
I really believe that if you continue to achieve optimal mobility, optimal strength, and you can continue on this trajectory to get stronger as you get older versus to decline. The reason that most people decline as they get older is they stop moving. So if I do a handstand push-up every day and I keep doing it, then there's really no reason that when I turn 120, if I've been doing it all along and I've maintained my strength and mobility and flexibility, well, why wouldn't I be able to do it? It's when people slow down and they're like, oh, I'm just getting old. No, you need to keep moving and you need to keep the intensity and the focus higher as you get older. Get your nutrition, your supplementation aligned better as you get older. And I'm telling you guys, you do not have to decline. I plan to stay exactly as I am, God willing, as long as nothing terrible happens, through being really smart with how I move and fuel my body.
Okay, so thank you for helping us cut through the noise and share practical science-based advice for living a healthier and more active life. So I'm just wondering, is there something you wish I would have asked you that I have not asked you? Maybe something you'd like to share to my audience?
Yeah, I think that everybody is different and everybody is on their own journey. And the biggest mistake I see people make is just this all or nothing mentality that they need to be doing these extreme programs, and they fail because they're not sustainable. So I would encourage everybody listening to just start slow, do something that's going to move you in the right direction, and then keep going because momentum is going to be your best friend.
All right, thank you so much. So for those who would like to check out your work and your resources on health, fitness, and longevity, how can they do that? And also for those who would also want to join you to have the goal of a handstand push-up at 120 years old, how can they follow you on this journey?
So you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Dr. Christine Boev, or my website is mastermenopause.com.
Okay, thank you so much once again, Christine. This has been a very wonderful episode. I also want to thank all my audience. You guys are the reason why we are able to do this as well. Thank you so much, and make sure to check out Dr. Christine Boev's work. Christine, have a wonderful day ahead.
You too. Thank you so much.